Hi BookTube and happy Friday. I thought I would do a combo video of wrapping up the books I read in February and talking about some of the books I want to read this weekend. I had a very good month in February. I read a total of 49 books, even though it was only 28 days in the month. I wasn't expecting that number, and I didn't realize until it came to the end of the month and I was just tallying up what I'd read. And a lot of them were romance books for the Retro Romance Readathon, and this is one of the examples of where the numbers, the quantity doesn't always equal quality, because unfortunately a lot of the books I read in February were just so, and I think a lot of that has to do with reading like outdated romance tropes, or the language, how they, not all of them were bad, but there was just some that were just stinkers to be quite honest. But I'm not giving up hope. I'm still going to be reading in the month of March for March Mystery Madness. I have a whole section of intrigue and the love inspired suspense that I'm going to be reading. So it's not that I don't like the genre, it's just those books didn't jive with me. For like, either the male lead was very egotistical and just a jerk, and just, or how they described the woman, how she often was just completely like the victim, or I don't know, just the dynamic there, just not, I didn't care for it. And again, it's just, I'm probably picking up the wrong books for that. Yeah. And anyway, moving on. So I say I want to do weekly wrap-ups in February, and I kind of sort of did that. But still, I read it like since I last did a wrap-up just for February, not including the rest from March 1st on. I read 10 books, but I don't want to talk about all of them because I do still want to do a proper Friday reads and show you what I'm going to be reading this weekend. So I just picked, like, I think 5 of the 10 I read in that last week of February. So the first one here is Like, Comment, Subscribe in Inside YouTube's Chaotic Rise to World Domination by Mark Bergen. And it's a white cover, so I always have the most difficult time showing this. I always have like that white glare. So for this, I thought it would be interesting to read because I didn't get into YouTube until I found BookTube. Outside of finding BookTube, I think it was like 2014 is when I discovered BookTube. And I've been watching for a very long time. But before that, I only watched like the America, funny some video kind of videos, like silly cats, or animals getting up, mostly cat videos. Like, but it was like maybe once a year I might see something. So I am not versed, I'm not knowledgeable about, the beginnings of YouTube and how it's gone on, and how, the different kind of videos that are, made, and how it's completely blown up. I feel like everyone, including me, has a YouTube channel. But it was interesting to find out, and a lot of it is, well, some of the big breakout YouTubers that they mention, especially in the early days and going forward, a lot of them are kind of like what I expected. Like, I never got into YouTube because, well, again, I only watch the cat videos. And in social media overall, I am not a frequent user of whatever kind of sense that was. But what I mean to say is that a lot of these people were people I would want to watch how they talk. And the thing is, like, also, like, talk, like, inside YouTube, and it talks about how the staff got started, and how, I can't remember the woman's name, but part of her job when she was on board was to screen videos, and because this was when YouTube was small, and filter out the ones that were deemed not internet appropriate, and how she couldn't, like, just the stuff they talked about was just like awful. And so that's kind of like back then, like, what I thought about YouTube was like, in a way, I don't know, but I know that's not exactly true, but yeah, just awful content, lots of like sexual things, and like children's videos that aren't for children, but they're marketed that way, and it's just, anyway, it was interesting to read about. Then I have Fast Into the Night, A Woman, Her Dogs, and Their Journey North on the Iditarod Trail by Debbie Clark Madero. And this was interesting because her whole family kind of was into the Iditarod before she got involved, because her 2 children, they're one of them was like a teenager at the time, like 17 years old, and he like helped the helped the Huskies get ready for the Iditarod, and then he ran like a kind of like a mini Iditarod, and then her husband ran one, and then so she decided to this her journey is two of them. The first one she couldn't make it all the way, and her dogs like just were like no, they did not want to run one day, and so she had to stop like kind of like 3/4 of the way through. And then she had to go through a second. She decided to not give up, and in between, her husband ran it. And then she's like, okay, now he's passed the baton to me, and it's my turn. So she decided to complete it. And you talk about like, kind of like the dogs she selected to run the second one, because like some of the first ones, like, you know, is it a like personality, like balking her leadership? You know, like she had to consider like which dogs, you know, maybe did she cause it? Did they cause it? Was like a group thing, you know? And so yeah, it was interesting, and a lot of it was focused on, even though like I'm talking about like her being very like, you know, structured, rigid, like, you know, selecting not favorite dogs, you know, selecting dogs for this. She has a I feel like really good relationship with her dogs, and she talks about how some of the other like mushers would criticize her because they consider her too soft for her dog. Like from one of them, even though they're in Alaska, hated the cold, and so it had like a little round sleeping bag, like it was like a curl up in there, and she could kind of zip it up a little bit, and so like things like that was really cute. And then I have Mama Makes Up Her Mind and Other Dangers of Southern Living by Bailey White, and I read this one because I purchased a book on my shelves back there somewhere. Oh, here it is. This one. And I saw that this one even mentions on the cover, like, author of Mama Makes Up Her Mind. But I hadn't read that one. And so I wanted to read this one first before reading the one I owned. And this was kind of like the stereotype of what you think, or a small part of what you think of like Southern living. Because Bailey White lives in her mother's house, which has been like passed down over many generations. And the stuff that they've accumulated in this house is like all sorts of like flotsam, like all sorts of stuff that's, you know, gathered cobwebs or is rusted and doesn't work, but it's still sitting there through all of Bailey White's life. And so she's constantly trying to like push her mom to clean things out, and then the different critters that they encounter in their house, and kind of like the small town aspect of the people she you know, talks about, you know, the people she sees on a regular basis. And so yeah, it was just a nice fun read. And then let's see, so I want to talk about two physical books that I read. Dear Genius, The Letters of Ursula Nordstrom, collected and edited by Leonard S. Marcus. And when I bought this, I think I bought it online, or maybe Pals, I can't remember which, but it's an advanced reader copy. Like, so like it was, the one thing is like there's a section that was, I think it's just a blank page with the thing on the top saying, this is where the pictures are going to go. I don't get any pictures. And like, this is where the index is going to go. I don't get that either. But I did get, of course, the main part, the letters, and it was good. I skimmed some of it because you know, I didn't know who they were talking about, but a lot of it, she talked about like, she wrote letters to E.B. White, and like talked about Laura Ingalls Wilder, and I thought that was really interesting to read about. And let's see, there is a, like for reviewers, there's a little part in here, let's see, because she worked as the head of the department for Harper's, and so she worked with a lot of authors, and for a long time too. So from 1940 to 1973, she was the director of the program. Even before that, she was involved in Harper's. And so let's see, she said, during her tenure as the head of this department, she was responsible for publishing such classics as Goodnight Moon, The Giving Tree, Charlotte's Web, Where the Wild Things Are, The Carrot Seed, and like The Purple Crayon, and all sorts of things. And so like that gives you kind of like an inkling of like what this book is about, because she's talking to different, it doesn't give you like to both sides of the conversation, it's just her letters to these different authors, but you can see like the process of them developing their books, and yeah, it was fascinating to read about. And then the other book is Winter Cottage by Carol Ryrie Brink, and this is there's drawings by Furman Rocker. I really like the wintry cover, and I'll show you some illustrations here. Let me find some. There's a family like are canoeing on the lake, and this is about a family who were like, it's taking place during the Great Depression, and they are down on their luck, and their father doesn't have any money, doesn't have a job, so he's trying to find ways of earning money. Here's the father right here. He's playing chest. And so their car breaks down and they stumble upon a cottage in the wintertime in Wisconsin. And they decide to, well, no one's there. It's like obviously like a summer house. And so let's just stay here and we'll save up. We'll find some way to earn some money, save it up, and then like, put it like on the kitchen table or something like that before the summer comes, as a form of payment. And so so it's like a story of like just living in this like winter cottage, and then there's people that like stumble upon the winter cottage who also use it as a safe place to come in from the cold. And it was just a really nice, really short book. It's like only like 170 pages or so. And so it was just a nice, charming story. And then switching gears to what I'm reading this weekend. It's maybe gonna be a snowy weekend. It's raining really hard, like off and on today. And then tomorrow, I think starting at like 4 a.m, it's hopefully gonna snow for like until lunchtime, and then probably turn to rain. So it might be like a slushy snow. We'll see. But I have no plans to go out this weekend, and so I'm just gonna be dedicating to reading. And I have ambitious TBR. I don't think I'm gonna get to near as much as I would like to, but you never know. The first one here is Cold Snap by Mark Cameron. This is the 4th book in the Arliss Cutter series, and I want to read this one because I think he has a new one coming out this month or next month, sometime soon. And this is, it takes place in Alaska, and I like the cover with the mountains, and there's an airplane. It takes place in Alaska, and I think, it's been a while since I read this series. I think he's based somewhere in Alaska, like Anchorage, or maybe moves around, I can't remember. But, it's really fast-paced thrillers, and, like, he's a U.S. Marshal, I think. Anyway, like this series. And then I have Cheap Land, Colorado, Off-Gridders at America's Edge by Ted Conover. And I like the stark cover here. But I'm always fascinated by, like, odd religions or odd ways of living, like van lives or, like, off the grid, things like that. And cabin in the woods kind of deal, like this one. I always find it fascinating. So this one caught my eye. I think it came out last year, maybe this year. Can't remember exactly, but I will report back on what I think of that. And then as far as books, physical books here, I have Hope Was Here by Joan Bauer. And this is a Newbery Honor book, and I'm reading, I have a mystery here from March Mystery Madness that's why I selected that one. And then this one I selected for middle grade March. And I'm trying to read A through Z of my middle grade books, because I have them all alphabetized up there and for author. So like I finished A and now I'm on to B. And I'm just like 5 pages in or so, just to see what it's about. And I wanted to make sure it grabbed my attention before I picked another B author. And I like this one. And this is about a family, or a niece and an aunt, who they are traveling all over the place because staying a couple years here and there, because it's like family of waitresses. Like the mom, it seems to be like the manager of different restaurants, and then Hope is the waitress. And so a lot of the restaurants that the mom ends up working for some reason or another, they go belly up. And so she's it's starting out with her going from New York to somewhere, a really small town in Wisconsin. And I can't remember the name. It's like a really small town in Wisconsin. And so they're making a journey there. And so looking forward to that one. I don't really care for the cover at all. I think it's just, I don't like it at all. But it's a Newbery Honor book. And so for my project, I have to read it. And then I have The Age of Federalism, The Early American Republic, 1788 to 1800 by Stanley Elkins and Eric McKitchery. Talk about have to read it. I have to read this one. It's a very hefty book. I am on page 46, and I'm still on chapter 1. Like, the introduction was like 40-something pages or so, 30 pages, and so I'm still making my way through the chapter 1, and I think it was like 15 or 16 chapters, and I would like to get this done the first part of March, like halfway through March, like March 15th, and then read my other mammoth from the 16th on. So yeah, I need to make some progress here. And I'm actually enjoying it so far. It's just very long chapters, but there's like sections within each chapter, and so It's like 5 chapters in one. But it's actually very readable and enjoyable. It's not the dry history or philosophy, economics that I thought it would be, political history. But yeah, it's good. And then the last one this is for March Mystery Madness. And again, I don't know exactly what I'm going to get to here, but if I can get to them all, that would be great. This is To Live and Die in Dixie by Kathy Hogan Chachek. A Callahan Garrity, maybe I said that already. Callahan Garrity mystery. This is the author, Mary Kay Andrews. And I didn't realize this at first. I read another book during Christmas. I think it was called Midnight Clear by the same author. And then come to find out when I was like checking it on, Midnight Clear, checking it on Goodreads, that this is Mary Kay Andrews. And I know that author. So she wrote mysteries before she wrote her, beach reads, that kind of thing. And this is about, what's the main character's name? Callahan Garrity. She's from her time on the Atlanta police force. Now she's a house cleaner and private investigator. And so they're cleaning a house, and I think they're working with an antique dealer. Oh yeah, she's cleaning the house of an antique dealer, and there is a old valuable Civil War diary that's stolen, along with finding a dead body in this house. And so, mystery there. And so, yeah, what caught my eye was the title. So, yeah, these are the books, some of the books I've read in February, and then what I'm planning to get to this weekend. Let me know if you're going to read any, if you're going to read any of these. I don't think you are. These are kind of like very particular books, but let me know if you're going to be participating in any of these readathons. I'm having tons of fun, even though it's a bit daunting, especially this heavy one here. But I think maybe next week, it could be in the review mirror, and I could be like, hey, I read it. But yeah, we'll see. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.